All right, the Colorado Avalanche keep their season alive with an impressive 5-3 win over the Stars in Dallas. Now the series goes back to Colorado. Can they do it again? Let's talk about it. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
Your Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. Make sure you're following us on social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, X, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram and Threads. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live, and make sure you are subscribed to our subtext. Link to that's in the show notes below. When you do, chat with Kyle and I one-on-one. We get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, which we share on this very podcast. We'll get to the subtext crew a little bit later. Yeah, man. Colorado Avalanche, never say die. Goonies never say die, Mr. Sullivan. And yeah, everything was against this team to win this game and continue their season and continue this series. Just nothing has been going right for them over the course of this series. So, but that's what I love about this sport is anything can change. And you've seen it, not just this game, in other series. And now it's the Avalanche turn to take some of that magic or whatever you want to call it and at least hold on to it for a couple days until the next game. But there is a next game. That's the most important part here is you were going into enemy territory, very difficult place to play, very good team that's had your number. And somehow, some way, like you won the game 5-3. You put 5 goals up on them. So it wasn't you skated by with a 1-0 or 2-1 win. Impressive game by the Avalanche. And this just gets their motivation up even more for the next game.
Yeah, you want to see a lot of this same effort put forth in Game 6, and you can see the success the Nuggets are having as well with turning the series. Maybe it's a Denver thing. And you love what you saw out of the Avalanche. This is the top line performing. It's amazing what happens when the top line does what you've expected them to all series long. And Dallas walks out of this losing a game at home where they could have went to the Western Conference Finals in front of their home fans. That's what they want.
And then got some rest.
Who knows how long you're going to get to rest for waiting on your opponent. You're walking out a little bit more battered than when you walked in. There's some injuries that are going to be lingering for this Dallas Stars team. And you beat Ottinger clean. They're not fluky goals that went by a rock solid goalie.
One was. The middle stat one was a little. I mean, hey, it's a goal. Goal is a goal, and it did go off the post and then kind of off his skate. But hey,
they're going in now.
Yeah.
They're getting by, and you just beat Hellebuck, who you made look pedestrian, and now Ottinger is looking like a Vezina caliber goalie. And now things are starting to turn momentum wise. You start to feel it. The Avs actually had the lead. Like you're walking out of Dallas with a lot of things in your favor that you hope to capitalize and expound on when you get back to Denver.
Definitely. But the Stars are they might be walking out of this like, okay, we lost an opportunity. We haven't lost the series. We're still up in the series. We need one more. They need 2 more. So I think the Stars are feeling just fine overall. But I think they're just looking at it as like the Avs when they won the cup. Like this was their situation. They could have won it on home ice. And how great is that if you win the Stanley Cup on your home ice? But they didn't. But what happened? They went into Tampa and won it on their ice. So just because you're going back to Colorado does not mean this is an automatic. But I think at least for the Avalanche, the way that they've been playing, the one win that they had was an overtime win, which are exciting to watch, from a fan perspective, but the anxiety levels are through the roof. But it was nice to get one that, regulation, like you said, you beat them. For this game, you beat them. In regulation, hung 5 on them. And, it wasn't perfect. and we'll go through kind of like different things, but I think just the end result is what the Avalanche are gonna remember for this game going into the next one is like, okay, we don't need overtime to beat them. We can hold a lead when we get one. So all the things that have not been happening prior to this game, at least they did for this one. And if you're the Avs, you're like, okay, we've just proven that we can. And if you're Dallas, you'd be like, okay, is this just an anomaly for them? And let's just get back to our game. So this continues just to be the chess match. And that's the beauty of playoff hockey is whatever side you're on, you can spin it to your favor. And I can totally see how Dallas would be doing that. And the Avalanche definitely are. And they have to feel good about not only winning the game in the fashion that they did, but yeah, it's not guaranteed a win on home ice, but it feels nice to go home on home ice following a win and continuing your season.
And all the hype that we had leading into Game 5 about the Avs have their back against the wall, they need this game to stay alive. That's all well and good, and they did. And you feel good about the Avalanche going forward, but it's like having a Monopoly Go multiplier on this. You're if you steal a game in Denver, the momentum you have Dallas really looking at, oh boy, now it's Game 7. You're amping it up even more. And if the Avs could steal 2 in a row, a lot of things are going to be in the Avs' favor. Like, you had your back against the wall, understandable, but now you're giving yourself the opportunity with getting a win in Denver of making this a Game 7. Like, circle the calendar, Game 7 in hockey and playoff hockey. That's what everybody wants. The Avs had the opportunity to really just crank up the pressure. And if you could get Nathan McKinnon, Mikko, he's got to step it up. Cale Makar looked great. If you can keep that going and build on that in front of your home crowd, things are really, from where it was so dire and everybody's throwing up their hands, the series is over. You have injected second life into this team with a win in Game 6.
I can guarantee you Dallas is feeling like, okay, well, we're the best road team this year. So it's not, they're not walking out with the tail between their legs and like, oh man, like we've lost this series. They're just going to get back to work on the road, which they've done all season. And for the Avalanche, your back is still up against the wall. Your season is still on the line. So you have to come out the same way. I thought they came out great in this game.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they looked really good. They were kind of forcing the issue. They were the aggressors. And then what happens? A crappy turnover behind the net by Josh Manson, and they get the first goal, and it's Joe Pavelski. And you're like, of course. And it's Pavelski's first goal of the series. I think it's his first goal of the entire playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. And you're like, okay, now he's going to wake up and be the Avalanche killer in the elimination game for the Avs. But again, they got down. And you're just like, it's just not their series. But again, like, you kind of have to look at this team of how you looked at it all season, and it's the no quit in them. And even though things have not been going their way, Dallas has had your number. You got the Nichushkin stuff, which happened. They didn't just fold and didn't just pack it in. And then you get that huge mammoth goal by Arturi Lehkonen right before the first period ended. It was 0.06 seconds on the clock when he got that. It was on a power play. Massive, absolutely massive. Because I mean, yeah, you've been going into every intermission down in this series, all of them. So that right there is just a little bit of hope and a little bit of, okay, like, maybe this is trending in the right direction. And we'll get to like the rest of the game, but I just thought the first period, you needed to set the tone. You needed to, and they did, but it was, all for naught because you gave up the first goal again. But at least you tied it heading into the first intermission.
And the everydayers know that's what we were talking about yesterday in yesterday's episode. It's now win every period, and guess what? The Avalanche went out and did. They won every period. They neutralized that first period and made it. It was basically a fresh game going into period 2 after Bednar talk and adjustments. That's what you need to do the rest of the way. Nothing's changed. Just the stakes are even higher now.
I thought you could tell like the Avs were wanting to get shots on net quicker. Not because Dallas is doing a good job of shutting down shooting lanes, getting into shooting lanes, blocking shots, and when the Avs do have an open lane, like it's at a tough angle, and Ottinger's not giving up any rebounds, so it's been tough. So you could just see the Avalanche wanted to get back to, if we have a lane, just throw it on net.
Yep.
Throw it on net. I thought they did a much better job of getting people in front of Ottinger and try, like, just if the opportunity is there, you're going to have guys in front of the net to maybe clean it up, or who knows what. Just if a puck comes out and you don't have a clean rebound, at least there's sticks knocking around. You never know what happens. That's why you put yourself in the net front. And I thought they did a better job of it. And I thought they did a better job of passing when they had a lane, they just fired the puck on net. And it worked. I mean, look at the Cale Makar shot. That kind of was his second one, the one that went between Ottinger's legs. It kind of like fooled him a little bit. I don't know. It was. I don't want to say it was like a knuckle puck. I mean, it was a changeup. Is kind of what it was. So overall, I thought they played a good game. We'll get into kind of individual players, and we'll kind of look ahead for a little bit to Game 6 if they can do this. And of course, we have our sound check to get to as well. Stay tuned for that. All right, let's get our first break in. We come back, more on this Avalanche 5-3 win over Dallas, and we'll cover all that coming up. Let's hear from Game Time. It's an authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA, which makes getting playoff tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to tip-off. With killer last-minute deals, all-in pricing, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. Some of the things that we love about Game Time: last-minute tickets, flash deals, and zone deals. You get your view from your seats on any venue and any location in the app. And as you're just scrolling, you're getting that view from your seat right there. You don't have to go into an event and then into a section. It's all right there, right in front of you. It's a beautiful thing to see. And you have those like zone deals that we said, the flash deals, which kind of just pop up. If you're looking for a specific event and a flash deal pops up, you get some really good deals in those flash deals. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. So again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNHL. That's LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All right, let's keep on this train that the Avalanche had and that 5-3 win over Dallas. You mentioned Mikko. He didn't start on the top line. We talked about that on yesterday's episode. Could there be some shakeup? You kind of felt like there might be, and there was. So he moved on to the second line. I'm not going to say like it really turned him around, because he's still getting pushed off the puck, which is just like baffling. Like he's a big dude. He really is. And he's got, part of his game is using his frame to shield a defender from removing him from the puck. And it was early in the game. I think it was in the first period where I don't even know who it was on Dallas. They were battling. It was just him and one other guy battling behind the boards. And Mikko just fell down to the ice kind of effortlessly. So I don't know, like, maybe you're not getting something on him. And we say this all the time. Maybe it's one of those things where after the season is over, you know, and a report comes out and it's like, well, he was playing with an injured something. But he just doesn't seem right to me. And then he commits that god-awful sin of a penalty seconds after Nathan MacKinnon gets that goal to make it 5-3. And there's only a couple minutes left. You're feeling great. You are feeling absolutely, this is in the bag, 5-3. There's only a few minutes left. And then after the face-off, following that goal, it's just a dumb tripping penalty that he commits. They killed it off. There, no harm, no foul, but just something is amiss with Mikko Rantanen right now.
Yeah, and that dumb tripping penalty, it's one of those dumb tripping penalties you take when you get beat. And Mikko has been skating at half speed since midway of the Winnipeg series. He's just been aloof, for lack of a better term. And when the season's over, you're probably going to hear he's been skating with 4.5 broken legs and 3 broken arms, and there has to be some kind of explanation, because this is not normal Mikko Rantanen, and it's just really bad to see. And honestly, that bump down to the second line, he almost took it as great. Now I don't have to go so hard, and he just kept on going. It didn't fire him up at all.
No, there's just something going on with him. So, I mean, despite that, he's like you were saying, like yesterday, like he's been average. He's been average Miko, but you need him to be above that. You need him to be more than that. So, what was the other one? Oh, just the second period in general. Excuse me. It was weird because, like, I thought the second period started like just kind of ugly. Like there was no flow to the first like 8 or 9 minutes of that. And then there was a section right in the middle where everything just opened up. And it was bad. Like we haven't got that at all in this series. Just back and forth. Not like odd man breaks or anything like that, but maybe like 3-on-3 breaks or 2-on-2. But it was back and forth. And it like I think Dallas has made it a point for that not to happen. Because when that favors the Avalanche in getting into a track meet against any team, not just Dallas. But Dallas came out with like, I don't think they came out with a goal then, but there towards the end of that, where it was just a track meet back and forth, they held the puck in for like a minute and a half. And that was when Taves, like in clear exhaustion, just threw the puck over the boards for a delay of game. And you're like, oh, man, here we go. And did that lead? I'm trying to remember which I think that led to the power play goal by Dallas, where it was a bad angle by Arturi Lehkonen. And they like stuff like that. Like those are the things that you have to clean up and not allow it to happen. Like, how do you have a 2-on-0 break and you're on a penalty kill? Like that stuff like that can't happen.
And see, and like to shine it up just a little bit, like that was their only conversion on the power play all night. They were 1 for 4. Dallas was on the night, and Colorado they scored twice on the power play. And this is something we talked about most of the Dallas series is Dallas's physicality. What better way to take out that physical extra hit, the chippiness, the physicality, than to punish them on the power play, which the Avalanche have not been able to do most of the series. When you go on the power play and if you score a goal, you think twice before you take that extra hit, that extra liberty, and you skate through that check. And the Avalanche doing that, that's something else that you want to see them build on. But seeing the power play restored to a weapon instead of a goose egg that's a vital piece that it'll easily get forgotten about in the ebbs and flows of things. But having a successful power play is huge, and killing off Dallas when you do make those kind of, when you're exhausted, delay of game penalties and the Mikko Rantanen stupid tripping penalties. If you could kill those off, you keep the momentum going. And if you're building it off the power play and good shifts and making smart decisions, if you could kill off their penalty, this is all things you need to put together to have a successful game, where they did in the third period.
And you can see on the power play, like obviously not having Valenchushkin there hurts, but having Jonathan Drouin there helps.
Yeah.
So, you lose a big piece, but you gain a big piece in getting him back. And I thought that the power play looked great. I was a little annoyed kind of with some calls tonight. Mikko Rantanen gets cross-checked right in the grill. It is clearly bleeding. That I thought was going to benefit the Avs for wearing the road whites, because you can see clear as day he's got blood all over his collar, and they give him 2 minutes. How? Like, it's pretty cut and dry. If anything draws blood, that's a double minor, and it would have helped the Avs.
He's a lazy bleeder.
Yeah, he delayed bleeding. Thanks, Mikko. You can't even bleed right now, Mikko Rantanen. What the heck's going on? And then later on, they get Arturi Lehkonen for a cross check, which is so like soft. That is like Charmin soft. And whoever it was on Dallas just went right down way too quickly. Dallas has been called for a couple embellishment penalties in this series. That was one of it. And the other ones I don't think were. This one was, and all they do is call Lehkonen for it, but they didn't score on that one, so no harm, no foul. But uh, overall, I think the rest have been okay. But and then earlier you had Zach Parise takes a cross check that bends him in half, and they swallow the whistle on that one. I don't know. I just, like I'm not gonna say it was a terrible day for the refs, but there was definitely questionable moments for the refs in this one.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
especially if you have Sagan and Ben still a part of this roster and them not get too crazy with it with how the calls are, I call that a win for the Avalanche.
So let's get to our subtext, people, and of course we have our sound check to get to, and we'll bring up some stats for this one as well. So button this episode up, and we'll do all of that right after this. All right, eBay Motors, passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. And eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. So whether you're into speed, power, or style, which we call, of course,
the Nathan McKinnon trilogy,
eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. And with all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home the win. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. And eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Have to talk about Alexander Georgiev, because once again he has settled in and he is playing great hockey. And I don't want to get too much into it right now, but we'll probably talk a lot about it in the offseason, especially when we get to his offseason grade. He was a sickness away from maybe not playing the rest of this postseason, and because of that, he's got another opportunity, and man, has he seized it. He's stopping pucks now. Like, that's how many times we said it over the course of the season, Kyle. Like, just stop a shot. When we need you to stop a shot. And he's doing that. And the ones that he's letting in, I'm not getting mad at him for letting them in.
Yeah.
It's something has happened seconds before, or a turnover that gets on the stick of a star player, and they just beat him. He's not letting in those slap your hand to your forehead shots where you're like, dude, like, have you just completely forgot how to play the position? No, he's turned it around, and he came up with some huge saves yet again. He's been looking good.
It all boils down to confidence.
Yeah.
And Georgiev has it. His positioning's great. His saves are great. I have faith in him. I don't think about Georgiev until he makes a save. You're not, when Dallas approaches the zone, you're not instantly worried. That's gone. And it's crazy to think, but he has been easily, to this point, he has been the best member of the Colorado Avalanche so far.
Isn't it amazing? I mean, you mentioned confidence. Clearly he's has it. And isn't it crazy how, like, his confidence has grown while, like, your forwards and defensemen, you can see it just kind of like going in the opposite direction. So finally, you have a moment where you would think both of them are increasing. He's already up here. His confidence level is already here, and he's looking down at the other guys like, come up here, dudes.
Yeah.
Come be with me and look at this wonderful view of confidence that I have. And at least for a game, I think the Avalanche are going to be there with him, at least for, going into game 6, because they're going to be riding high. And the other one, the maybe the sentimental story is you prolong Zach Parise's career. Probably, if he's, he says he's going to retire after this season, but hockey players, you never know. Sometimes they have a change of heart. But if it is, there's so many people rooting for him. And he had an assist in this game. So his career continues along too.
As long as they don't fold him up like a folding chair.
Yeah.
We just got to get him there.
God, yeah, man. Yeah, you take a cross check to the lower back. Someone his age, I know what he's feeling.
Boy, do I.
The lower back problems are very real when you're at his age and above. So, Yeah, overall, I mean, the stats in this game are pretty even in terms of, just shots, Corsi for, Corsi against, all that stuff. Pretty even. Um, and this is kind of more of how I would thinking the series would go, of tight games, and not one team being in complete control like Dallas has been. So if it's taken this many games for the Avalanche to really wake up, maybe they do steal game 6 as well, and this goes to a 7-game series like we were all expecting. So if you're looking on YouTube, there's a question: can they do it again? Sure, absolutely. I mean, if everything was stacked up against you going into this game and you pulled it off, what else could be thrown in front of you that would make you just falter? I don't know what else could be there.
Yeah, you expect the Avalanche to do this again, because if you had this kind of performance and with 60% of the fan base pretty much just throwing up their hands after game 3 and 4 with their performance, just saying the series is over, and you get a really good looking win when you look back on it. And then now you have the confidence going into another game where your back's against the wall. You expect them to play like this at home with a little bit more pep in their step. You just hate the Avs had to wake up when literally they're about to be put out of the playoffs entirely.
Over on subtext, we got some people chiming in over there. And again, if you want to be one of our subtexters, just follow that link below in the show notes and sign up. So this is from Joe. Says, what a game. Very impressed with the turnaround coming off of game 4. That's some solid energy to bring back to ball. Say that 10 times fast.
No.
Bring back the ball. The top line was cooking and owned it tonight. Couple of dumb penalties, but oh well. Yeah, I think you roll with that top line again.
Yep,
absolutely. And I do. I think Casey Middlestat on the second line. Like, I mean, some people still think like the jury's out on him. I don't think so. I think he is your rock solid 2C. You're saying like how you just said I'm comfortable with like Georgiev and net, and I am too. I'm comfortable when Casey Middlestat has the puck on his stick. I really am, because I just feel like he's a danger. And he's a triple threat type of guy, and you don't know if he's going to shoot it or pass it, and his passes are just perfect. I really like his game. So that's for the second line. But you're right. So maybe that's what Mikko Rantanen needs to get going, is being with someone like Casey Middlestat who can facilitate to him. But that top line, thought they looked great.
And to everyone who's still wondering about Casey Middlestat, I'm pretty sure we could go get Ryan Johansson. I'm pretty sure he's doing nothing right now. So we can always go back.
Yeah, absolutely. This was from Coy. Where did he put it? He's funny, man. He sent a gif of the Shorzy people eating the sticks. But he said, I'm extremely proud of this team. They could have packed it in even after that first goal against. Exactly. Despite all of the noise, they found a way to extend it. Let's do it again on Friday. How about those pesky Avs? Yeah. Again, you had everything against you, and even you let up the first goal, and you felt like, man, like I said in the beginning, you just felt like maybe it's just not their time. Maybe it's just not their series. And even after that first goal, and even you went down 2-1. You go down 2-1 halfway through the second, you're feeling like,
They're making it where ESPN has to actually do some research on the Avs and start talking about them for a change.
ESPN's just got to follow the puck better. I mean, I think we got to go back to the glow puck for ESPN. So the guy who's behind the center ice camera can follow it better. I don't know what they're doing, but it's bad.
They're trying.
I don't have a problem with the announcers. I think the announcers are fine. It's just some of like how the game is presented. I just have a massive issue with. So not the best, but we're stuck with them. So I told you people this. If you want to go back to when NHL signed the agreement with ESPN, I said it then. I don't want to say it's a mistake, because you're getting like notoriety and they're a big vehicle. I understand that. And I said at the time, the way that it's covered, you are going to hate it. And look what's happening. I have followed and kind of, I don't want to say studied, but maybe a student of following ESPN and how they cover things, and I just don't feel like they do it the right way. And you were seeing it on full display with the NHL. I said it then. Nobody wanted to believe me. They thought it was the greatest thing in the world that the NHL is going back to ESPN. In some aspects, it's good, but for this, don't say I didn't tell you. Told you so.
The only way to
Because it
fix this is to go back on Outdoor Life Network.
Versus.
Mm-hmm.
Go to Versus. You need to restart Versus to do that, but do it. All right, last thing to get to, that is our sound check. And this is where Kyle and I pick one song each that we feel best summarizes the most recent game. And these songs go up on a playlist over on Spotify. And you can follow that playlist. Just search for LOA Soundcheck. Volume number 3 is where you can find all of these songs. So what do you got for this one, sir?
Chris, look around. I'm still standing better than I ever did. I'm looking like a true survivor, feeling like a little kid. And you know what? That's where we're going with this sound
Wonderful.
check. We're going with Elton John. I'm Still Standing. Fantastic song.
Gotta love it.
And honestly, it matches the energy coming off this win, going back home to ball. Like, listen to this song. It's kind of even feelings right there.
Yeah. Great energy in that song. Fantastic. And I think you did an Elton John song. I think it was Saturday. How's that song? Is it Saturday night?
Oh, Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting?
Saturday Night's All Right, yeah. And again, the live version of that is just, oh man. So I'm probably going to throw in the live version of this one for you, but fantastic. It's kind of where I'm going with mine. Like, so being a child of the 90s, growing up in the alternative era, Oasis was obviously one of the biggest bands of the 90s. And everybody thinks that when they think of Oasis, they think of, the What's the Story Morning Glory album with Wonderwall on it and Don't Look Back in Anger, which is one of the greatest albums in my lifetime, right? But they have an album which is so good. And this was kind of after like the appeal of Oasis had worn off, but they're still making albums. And this album was called Don't Believe the Truth, which rivals, in my opinion, What's the Story Morning Glory. It's that good, but it's kind of just nobody really like, because it wasn't when there was at the height of their popularity. They're kind of on the downside of the popularity. And there's a song on there called Keep the Dream Alive. Listen to that full album, but this song in particular is a phenomenal song, and the title will just tell you exactly what it is, because the Avs did that. They kept the season alive. They kept the dream alive, because this is a team that wants to win the Stanley Cup. This is not a team that just goes out there and just does the best they can and give it the old college try. And let's see how far we go. And then however far we go, we'll build on that next year. No, there is the building on is you can't get any higher than the Stanley Cup. Yeah. And that's what they're playing for. And that is their dream. And at least for, an extra couple days, they kept it alive. So that's what I'm going with. Oasis.
Yeah, especially when you get on Cap Friendly and look at what this team might look like next year. There's not a lot to build on. We'll talk about that in the offseason.
Precursor to the offseason. All right. That is going to wrap it up for today, everybody. So we'll be back tomorrow. Still got some stuff to talk about. I'm sure there's more subtext people throwing in some comments between now and then. So we'll get to them as well. Obviously, comments from the team. Anything else going on in Avalanche world, we'll talk about that one tomorrow. All right. That'll wrap it up. Thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. That is always appreciated. For Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan, I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.